Hey guys, welcome back to 234 in La Casa. So today we're going to be making American chocolate buttercream frosting. This is just going to be a standard video about that kind of frosting that you can use for your 2-layer cakes, for your brownies, for your cupcakes. Smooth, creamy, and full of chocolate. I'll bring you all over and show you the ingredients. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Sending love to everyone. And I'll see you over here in just a second. All right, y'all, so for this recipe for American chocolate buttercream frosting, we're gonna need 3/4 of a cup of room temperature butter. So this is gonna be a 1/2 cup of butter here, and you can look at the labels here. And then we're gonna take 1/4 of another stick of butter to create the 3/4 of a cup of butter. And this recipe is easily doubled, so just know that. So any of these measurements, if you want more frosting than what I'm gonna be making, just double it or triple it or whatever, okay? And room temperature butter is when you can do an indentation like that. Hopefully y'all can see that. That's gonna be your room temperature. You don't want it any softer than that for this buttercream icing. All right, so we're gonna add this butter to our mixing bowl, and you're gonna want to use, if you're using a hand mixer, that's fine. I'm gonna be using a stand mixer, and with our stand mixer, we're gonna be using the whisk attachment to cream our butter. All right, guys, so we're gonna start off creaming our butter on a low speed. And increase it just a little bit. And then we're gonna increase it to high and cream and whip the butter on high for a total of 5 minutes. All right, guys, so it's been 5 minutes, and this is what your butter should look like at this point. Nice and glossy. Let me bring it closer, a little bit closer. So nice and glossy, that's the consistency that you want it to be for this American buttercream icing. And now I used salted butter. That's all that I buy. If you want to use unsalted, you can. So at this point, if you do, then you want to add some salt to your butter. And a lot of people like to use unsalted butter for their buttercream icing because then they can control the salt content that's in the way that their frosting tastes. I just use salted butter. It just works better for me. So now we're gonna add 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, and I'm using Ghirardelli Dutch processed cocoa. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that, and make sure that your cocoa is sifted. Okay, and this is 1/2 cup. And I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm gonna be using 1/2 cup of cocoa powder because I want my buttercream icing to be very, very chocolatey. You can reduce the amount of cocoa to 1/4 cup if you would prefer. So we're gonna go ahead and get this whisked together on low speed. All right, I've got that whisked together, but what you're gonna wanna do is check and make sure that underneath, you wanna scrape the bottom of your bowl. I still have some cocoa powder down there at the bottom, so I'm gonna restart my mixer, and then also some of the butter has not been all the way combined, so we're just gonna start the mixer back, and I've got some cocoa powder on the side as well that needs to be combined. So just make sure to scrape your bowl and then restart your mixer. Okay, so now we're going to add 3 cups of powdered sugar, and make sure your powdered sugar is sifted. We're gonna be adding that 1 cup at a time. And I'm sorry, one other thing I forgot to show you all. This is the vanilla that I used. That's the vanilla, okay? And we're gonna be alternating a cup of powdered sugar with a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream, okay? And so you're gonna want to have, we've got 3 cups of powdered sugar. You're gonna wanna have about 3 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream available to you to kind of alternate to get this buttercream icing smooth in texture and very, very beautiful. Start off whisking our powdered sugar in at a low speed. That way your powdered sugar doesn't explode everywhere, and then we'll increase the speed. And be sure to scrape the sides down on your mixing bowl as you mix. All right, guys, so this is done. I'm going to go ahead and scrape my sides down and give it a final mix. In the end, I wound up using about 2.5 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, along with the 3 cups of powdered sugar. If you want your American buttercream frosting to be more stiff, then you can increase your powdered sugar up to, for this recipe, for up to 5 cups. So instead of using 3 cups, you would increase it to 4 or 5 if you want it more stiff. We're not all the way done yet. I'm just going to go ahead and scrape my sides and just do a final mix and make sure to scrape underneath, and then we'll see if any more powdered sugar or heavy whipping cream needs to be added based on the consistency that I personally like. So this is going to be buttercream icing at the consistency level that you want. So if you want it more firm, you're going to add more powdered sugar. If you like it a little bit softer, then you're going to keep it at 3 cups. All right, guys, so this is done and this is finished. So we're going to get our whisk attachment all cleaned off, and then we're going to go ahead and flatten our icing. When you use a whisk, it does put some air bubbles into your icing. So we're going to get all of this cleaned off and get our icing flattened out. All right, guys, so we're just going to flatten out this icing just like that, just to get the air bubbles out of the icing. And this is the perfect consistency that I'm looking for what I'm going to be baking. Like I said, if you want it stiffer or more stiff, then you would add more powdered sugar to it, okay? And this icing can remain in the refrigerator up to about 7 days. You can also freeze it, but if you place it in the refrigerator and you get it out and you're wanting to use it, just put it back in your mixer with the whisk attachment to get it whipped back into shape. You'll also want to flatten it out again, and you can add additional whipping cream to it just to kind of get it to come back to life, okay? This is beautiful. Look how silky smooth it is, full of chocolate goodness. And that's going to be your American buttercream icing. And trust me, it tastes just as good as it looks. It's excellent.